Um, Thanks very much for coming along to this MLI information session. Welcome, everyone. I hope this proves really useful to you. My name's Jeff Brown, and I'm responsible for all non-content aspects of this whole program. I was brought on board almost a couple of months ago now, and it's been a busy time, I have to say. In fact, one of the things that just before we get started, one of the things that I wanted to mention, which is I think extremely important, is that since I started, my main task has been to contact all alumni of this program. Of which, well, there's a lot of them, and there's hundreds, and I've got in touch with the majority of them, and I have to say it's been utterly invigorating for me because it's given me immense confidence in this product. They've been almost unanimously incredible. The feedback has been incredible. So one of the things that I wanted to mention is, if you're interested in enrolling on this program, please get in touch with me so that I can put you in touch with alumni either from your region or alumni who are working in roles that you're currently working in, or alumni who are working in roles that you want to work in. So just bear that in mind during the course of this presentation, and of course after the presentation, if you're interested in speaking to alumni of the MLI program, please get in touch, because they're strong. They've had very strong experiences on this program, so they'll give you an idea, hopefully, of what you can expect if you are to enroll onto this program. Okay, so what are we going to be talking about during this presentation? Well, I'll be introducing you to the one and only Paul Billiken, who heads up the faculty for this program. He's an incredibly, he's a bright spark and very entrepreneurial and out of my league. So I'll give you a quick introduction on him in a second. We're going to talk about the MLI. What is it all about? Why is it beneficial? What partnerships do we have? It's also accredited. Who is part of the MLI faculty? They're a world-renowned faculty. They are not all of them, of course, but some of them are known the world over, and all of them are extremely experienced. We're going to talk about the candidate profiles as well, both the professional profiles and the academic profiles. We'll break down the syllabus of the MLI program, including the MLI primers. MLI alumni contacts I've just spoken about, so I'll briefly cover that very briefly, because I've covered that already near the end of the presentation. We'll talk about the study partner program, which is, I think, a critical part of one's engagement and enjoyment of this program. I've just seen a question come up about the fees of the MLI. What we'll do is we'll answer these questions in the Q&A part of the presentation at the end of the presentation, which will include fees as well. So don't worry. And the help desk as well we'll touch upon, and then the Q&A session at the very end. So Paul is, this is really his baby, this program. He heads up the faculty. He spent a good deal of time studying at Oxford University and at Imperial College to PhD level. He's also a banking practitioner with 17 years experience in the financial markets. He started off as a quant. He then transitioned to become a quant trader. And then he was so successful at his quant trading business that they made him a director. He's also professor of mathematics for computer science at Imperial College, and he's founder of Thalessians. I'm sure many of you will know Thalessians. They're an artificial intelligence company with literally thousands of LinkedIn followers. So what is this all about? It is an 8-month program. It is quite an intense program, especially for those of you who are working. It's an evening program, part-time. It's quite a demanding program. There are weekly live lectures in London or globally online, as many things are these days. It consists of 2 levels, level 1 and level 2. And you can do level 1 next year. It starts in April, this program, so you can start level 1 next year. And then you can take a break before embarking on level 2 the following year. Or you can do what most people do, which is to do the whole program in one go, level 1 and level 2, all in one go. There are 5 MLI primers, which Paul will break down shortly. There are 8 modules. Each module lasts approximately 1 month, give or take. 32 lecture weeks, so it's 8 months in total. There are assignments, there's a practical final project, a final exam, which can be taken from anywhere in the world. The MLI faculty, as I briefly explained, they are an acclaimed team of instructors, and there's a combination of practitioners and academics. They are all specialists in the field of machine learning, data science, and artificial intelligence. It is an incredibly practical program. So this is really important that we emphasize this. This is a professional qualification. This isn't a university program. It's a professional qualification. It's designed very specifically for working professionals, or for those of you who want to become working professionals with machine learning expertise. So it is highly practical. The whole objective and design of the program was for the practicability of machine learning. The benefits of the program, it's got a very strong reputation. It's only been going a few years, actually, since 2018, but it's already become a global program, in a way, a global sensation. And this is partly because of the faculty of the program. This is, one of the reasons why I started by mentioning the MLI alumni, because it's been incredibly useful for the alumni on a practical level. This is the feedback that I've received, is that it's just been an incredibly useful program. It's a graduate level professional qualification, internationally renowned. You can take it from anywhere in the world, practitioner oriented, as I've just emphasized, and the faculty is led by Paul. Lifelong learning, right, this is important actually. So there are lifelong learning webinars that take place over and above the MLI program. So you'll have access to all webinars, all these additional webinars for the rest of your careers. Okay, so any webinars that take place, whether it's in a month's time, or sorry, you haven't enrolled onto the program yet. So whether it's in once you've started the program in April, or whether it's in 5 years' time or 20 years' time, you'll have access to every single additional webinar in perpetuity, and they're free to attend. You'll also have access to all future MLI programs. So it's evolving all of the time, and this is because the world is changing all of the time. So you'll have access to every single MLI program for the rest of your careers. You can either watch them live, or you can watch the recordings of each of the classes. So we are fully accredited. We are CPD certified. I'm not entirely sure, I can't remember the exact amount of hours that you will be credited with on completion of the program. I think it's, I don't know, it's 300 or 400 or something like that. But for those of you who want to know the exact amount of hours, just send me an email and I'll be able to let you know what the answer is. We also have really special partnerships with MTT Data, with NAG, who I'm sure many of you will know. They're famous for the NAG library, and Thelesians, which is Paul's own organization. As previously stated, Paul heads up the faculty, and he's extremely ably assisted by the amazing Ivan Zdankin, who's a quantitative analyst at JP Morgan. And accompanying them are extraordinary people. And I would say not only in terms of what they've achieved in their careers, but also in terms of their ability to teach and to be eloquent about what they're teaching. Francesca Lazzari, some of you may well have heard of. She's an extraordinary character, works at Microsoft. Matthew Dixon is internationally renowned. He works at the Illinois Institute of Technology, and there are, I'm not going to go through each and every one, but there are names there that you will probably have heard of. Claudio Albanese, Saeed Aman are very well known as well. Okay, what's the profile of students who attend this program? It's a global profile. So we have people who have attended so far. The majority are in the UK, Europe, and North America, and then in Asia. Particularly India is, rapidly increasing in terms of the numbers of delegates from India who attend this program. I should add, actually, somebody mentioned fees at the beginning, that residents in India are entitled to a special discount. So this is something that, anyone from India who wants to know what that discount is, please just send me an email. And if you want to talk about the program, you're more than welcome to call me as well. This applies to anybody. You've all received an email from me with my contact details, so feel free to give me a call or to send me an email with any questions. It's a global community. It is a community. We run networking events, and these are going to be increasing in number from January onwards. 80% of students are distance learning. In fact, I think it's more than 80% now, actually. They reside outside of the UK, and students have come from over 60 countries worldwide. Candidate profiles. So the professional profiles are, as you can see, quant analysts, quant trading. I would also suggest quant researchers, quant developers, IT, insurance, model validation, risk management, equity traders, and high frequency traders. Academic profiles. I mean, this explains itself, really. This is a machine learning program, so you have to have either a computing background or maths background or physics, banking and finance, or engineering. And what I would suggest is that anybody who doesn't have either that professional profile or that academic profile, and you want to do the MLI program, you will definitely need to speak to us first. You'll need to speak to our admissions department. This is important because the last thing that we want is for somebody to enroll onto the program only to find and submit your fees, only to find that this is way over your head and that you don't understand what's going on. So it's extremely important that you have the right background, and this will also be determined by our admissions department. These are some of the institutions who put delegates through this program: JP Morgan, Bank for International Settlements, ADIA, Deloitte, UniCredit. There are plenty of others as well, but these are the ones who have not only allowed us to mention this, but these are also the ones from that alumni who I have spoken to have come from. So the journey starts with this information session. This is where you need to really find out as much as possible about the program. If you don't have a brochure, let me know and I can email through a brochure to you as well. This is where we discuss course details. There are live webcasts available on YouTube as well. This session is going to be recorded. So if you want to re-watch this session, you're more than welcome. You then, if you're interested in enrolling, you submit your application form online. Our admissions team will then determine whether or not to accept you onto the program within 3 working days. You then make a decision as to whether you want to enroll good and proper. If you do enroll, you submit your fees. You then have access immediately to the MLI primers. And you will then also receive a full set of course materials and textbooks before the start of the program. The program begins in April. The earlier you enroll, the higher the discount as well. There are 8 modules of varying length, on average 1 month per module. Lectures online. There is an online test at the end of each module. This is something that Paul can talk about very shortly. Final unseen written exam at the end of module 8, and then a final project, which is an extraordinary project. It's where you apply everything that you've learned on the MLI program as though you're working in the real world. So it's a real challenge, this final project, and it's a really good one. Okay, I think I'll hand you over to Paul now, and just briefly looking at the chat. Okay, we'll answer these questions during the Q&A session. Okay, and now I'd like to hand you over to Paul.
So thank you very much for joining this meeting, and sorry to see that Raphael was so scared when I switched on my camera. I hope that the rest of you are not as easily intimidated. So let's first of all have a look at the questions that you guys have asked right before I proceed. Quant Daddy is also faculty. So Quant Daddy, also known as Jesper Andreasen, works very closely with Antoine Savine and with Brian Hughes, who are part of the faculty. He worked very closely with them at Danske Bank. At present, he does not teach on this program. But this is something that, of course, we can consider going forward. I mean, if there is, so I have a very good personal relationship with him. So if there is interest in Jesper presenting, we can take this on board. Perhaps, Jeff, maybe we can add it to one of the possibilities to perhaps include Jesper as a lecturer.
Sure. Was he on the slide, incidentally?
He is not, but well, he worked very closely with Antoine Savine, right, and Brian Hughes. But I don't think he's personally, he's not personally involved currently in this program as it stands. Right, there is a lecture on differential machine learning, which certainly comes from kind of the same intellectual tradition, and that's something that is handled by Antoine and Brian. What is the criteria for admission? Okay, so we look at your profile and we basically convince ourselves that you are able to complete the program and pass it. Yeah, so I think that's kind of the main requirement. We do not necessarily have the same. I mean, um, we understand that quite a few people who come to this program are already busy with their careers. Yeah, so we don't normally subject you to the kind of Oxbridge style interview that an academic program would normally do, because we recognize that many of you guys are professionals rather than academics, and we want to have sensible and reasonably experienced, reasonably rational people in this program who can benefit from learning machine learning with perhaps some track record of doing something in finance. Yeah, I mean, and again, if you are very keen to take part in this program, that's another requirement. We want to see people who are very keen and who can definitely benefit from this program. I think those are the main requirements, right? Those are the main things that we're looking for in applicants. There is a question from Hitesh: is bank loan available for this program? This will facilitate me to become part of this astounding program. Now, indeed, there are, I think the question is, Hitesh, where are you currently based, right? And where you are domiciled. You don't have to tell everyone on this channel. This is something that you can email us about. Indeed, there are some student loan programs that exist in the UK. And perhaps, we could establish, there are many different, in addition to kind of the standard government sources of funding, there are, and again, that depends on where you are domiciled and so on. There are various fintechs that do offer loans for these purposes, and we can have a more comprehensive conversation around this, right? But it would be your responsibility to secure the funding for this program. Okay.
Can I add to that, Paul? Sorry. So Hitesh, as I understand it, I think you're resident in India, according to my attendee list here. And so residents in India are also entitled to a 50% discount. So I don't know if that helps you or not, but I hope it helps somewhat. And with regards to getting a bank loan, I think, to be honest, this is something that you would need to find out personally, if bank loans are available to do this program. So this is one of the reasons why we've put this discount structure in place for residents in India. And you'll need to explore with regards to the bank loan question.
In the meantime, there is another question. What is the standing of the program in quant world? Since I'm working in model validation and certainly want to move towards ML part where there is huge research going on. Okay, the standing is very strong, and it rests on the reputation of the faculty, and you will see that among the members of the faculty, you will see people who have essentially created this field, machine learning and finance, right? You will see people who have basically, been instrumental in just creating this discipline, right? So, if you just mention some of the names that you have been taught by, and you can easily do that on your CV, then certainly that will be very, very highly regarded by wherever you go. And I want to basically say, perhaps without, if you go to student forums, you will see these names mentioned as some of the best teachers that people seek to work with. Yeah, so that's the faculty. But in addition to that, the brands, the MLI and Talesian brands, right, and also the WBS brand, right, that those brands are perhaps the best known brands in quantitative finance in general, right? There is maybe a very small number of organizations that have the same reputation in the world of quantitative finance. Yeah, so you would be in very, very capable hands, and you would be among people who are very, very highly regarded, and organizations who are very, very highly regarded in this field, right? And in addition, as Jeff has mentioned, maybe I'll let him talk about this. We can actually put in a word for you when it comes to employment. So maybe Jeff, would you like to talk about it now, or is this something you'd like to cover later?
Yeah, why not actually? Okay, so the MLI is very different from the CQF. I worked as part of the CQF team for a number of years, but I think Paul can talk about the differences. But very quickly, so we have an employment service, which is very comprehensive. But what I need to emphasize is that if you are sponsored through the program by your organization, then obviously we absolutely cannot help you to leave that organization. Otherwise, if you're an independent delegate enrolling onto this program, then we absolutely can help you to get the job that you're looking to move into once you've graduated from the program. And this service is very comprehensive. It's not only comprehensive because of the contacts that we have, that I have, that Paul has, that the faculty has, but also the MLI alumni are amazing contacts to have, because they know how practical this program is. So when they know that if we put you in touch with them saying that this person has just completed the program, they know the practical skills that you have. So that helps enormously. But the other thing that we help you with is interview coaching. And this is going to be needed because today's market is so competitive. You can have, I might be exaggerating, I might not here, but you could have 50 to 100 people applying for one job, for one machine learning job. And out of those people, maybe there'll be a short list of 5 people selected for interview for that role. So we are very experienced at knowing how to present your CV. Especially with machine learning, you should be able to present your CV in a far more effective way than your average CV. But more importantly, when it comes to an interview situation, if you're going to be talking to MLI alumni who, desk heads, and you're going to be interviewed by them, then you absolutely need to know what to do to maximize your chances of getting that job. And this includes doing as much research as possible, not only about the job spec that you're given, but also how does that role fit in within the team or department? What is the team or department's function within the organization? You need to have a really good understanding of the organization. You need to do your research on the organization. What are their strategies? What are their objectives to meet those strategies? So we help you with all of that. We help you to be as well prepared as possible for any interview situation. And you need to go above and beyond the call of duty, above and beyond the job spec, way over above and beyond the job spec, in order to maximize your chances of getting of landing a role. But we're there to help you to do that. So hopefully I hope I've given you some idea of how comprehensively we focus on helping you to get the role that you want to move into. And if you've got any questions, or if you want to talk to me further about that, then again, feel free to get in touch with me whenever you want.
Okay, I think I'll proceed with the slides, right? So perhaps the program consists of several components. There are live lectures that you are welcome to attend in Canary Wharf at level 39, where we have our training center. You can also watch those videos by joining via WebEx, or you can watch them later as recordings. Although I would definitely recommend that you do attend the lectures, right, either in person or remotely, because that's an opportunity to take part in the process and ask questions. So either live or on WebEx, it's a good idea for you guys to be there when the lecture is being delivered rather than watching it afterwards. But of course, for various reasons, people may miss individual lectures, so you will have the opportunity to watch them as recordings afterwards. So there are multiple choice questions to back up each module and lecture, and there is an assignment that you guys need to complete, a practical assignment, and numerous real-world exercises and case studies that you guys can do throughout the program. In addition, we provide various ad hoc webinars by people who are doing work in this field and some of the leaders in this field, so you can watch those as well. And that's another way to learn, the most groundbreaking stuff in this area. Okay, so if we move on to the next slide, let me see if I can actually do it on my side. I think I can, right? So before we start the program, there is a collection of 5 full-day or half-day primers, which are supposed to make sure that you have the background required for the program. In the mathematics for machine learning, right? So the background mathematics that you need to have under your belt would be linear algebra, probability theory, and optimization theory. So you really need to understand those. Then we do have some derivative pricing applications. So for applications, so we do look at for instance, deep volatility, and this is a full-day primer where we introduce the basics of financial derivatives and risk. So we'll talk about option pricing, the classical Black-Scholes model, and a few extensions of these things. And we talk about risk as well, value at risk, and a few other things. Yeah, so that's another primer in case you are rusty on some of the financial aspects or you haven't seen them before. Algorithmic trading is another major area of application of machine learning, and the next primer is dedicated to that. So we'll look at trading fundamentals, we'll look at trading strategies, backtesting, level 2 data, and all sorts of related things. Python remains the core language for this kind of work, so we actually have 2 primers in Python. The first primer is an introductory primer, and the second primer will cover advanced Python techniques, such as speeding up your Python code using things like number and vectorization in number. Okay, so these are the primers. This is something that we use to get you into the program. And then we have the program proper. So the first area is supervised learning, which is, when people talk about machine learning, they tend to mean supervised learning, although, of course, machine learning is a lot more. We start with classical techniques, linear regression and regularization, which are still heavily used in finance. We'll look at ensemble methods, which are probably state-of-the-art for tabular data, such as time series data, and remain strong performers, and Kaggle, for instance, and are heavily used in the industry. And then we'll look at kernel methods, which are a little bit more theoretical, but they establish a lot of useful maths that you can rely on to reason about these approaches. Then we talk about Bayesian modeling. This is something that, again, comes up quite a lot, and there is an entire family of methods which is based on Bayesian modeling. Then we move on to the second module, which is deep learning. This is neural networks, and especially large neural networks, where we start with the basics, the perceptron, then we explain how these models are trained, what kind of hardware you need, what kind of software algorithmic approaches are used for training these, including backpropagation. And then we move on to specific applications of neural networks in banking and finance. Blanca Horvath will deliver a lecture on the approach that she has developed along with her colleagues on deep learning volatility. And after that, we move on to unsupervised learning, which helps make sense of data where you want to discover structure in the data. So unsupervised learning is used, for example, dimensionality reduction, clustering, PCA, and how you can beat PCA using things like autoencoders. Then we have a separate lecture on alternative data. It will be delivered by Saeed Amin, who is an expert in alternative data and the author of which used to be the only book on alternative data, but I believe there are now 2 books on alternative data. So Saeed is very intimately familiar with a lot of the data sets that exist in this space, and he will introduce you to, I don't know, how to use satellite images in your machine learning work and things like that. Okay, then we look at practicalities. So what kind of hardware do you need? How to understand this hardware, how to tweak it, how to industrialize your machine learning approaches, how to make them reproducible, how to deploy them, for example, the cloud, right? How then to engineer features in your work, how to tune your models. And we'll look at, I think there was a question about the work from Danske Bank and Antoine Sabine and Brian Huge will present differential machine learning, which is an approach to make machine learning in derivative space faster and more stable. Okay. Then we have another very interesting module, which is covering reinforcement learning, a very interesting branch of machine learning that has been popularized by, for instance, the work of DeepMind in this space, where we look at where they managed to beat a human champion at the game of Go. So we introduce it, we show how to implement it, and then we show several applications, demonstrate several applications of reinforcement learning to market making, wealth management, and optimal order execution. Okay. Then we look at specifically time series data. I mean, although there are different kinds of data in finance, alternative data, volatility surfaces, yield curves, and stuff like that. Time series data is still probably the most common form of data that you encounter, both in trading and in derivatives and risk. So this module will be taught by Francesca Lazzeri, who comes from Microsoft, and she's an expert at working with time series data. So there are 4 lectures in this module, and I think Introduction to Time Series Signatures is delivered by somebody else, but I mean, that is the core module on time series. Yeah. After that, we'll move on to perhaps more recent stuff that has been entering finance more recently, such as natural language processing. How do you process documents, bank statements, and so on? How do you scrape data from websites? How do you use that to generate insights? And how you can use generative deep learning, which is very scary because you can now generate realistic looking faces, for instance, using things like GANs, and therefore I no longer know, who is real and who is deepfake in this world. So I kind of assume that everyone is a deepfake. So that is, kind of can be mind-boggling. And so if you look at what generative modeling can do, I mean, it's very interesting. So in finance, in particular, this kind of approach can be used to generate realistic looking data, especially in small data environments, and then you can use that data to back up the data sets that you have if you are in a small data environment, and then you can train models based on that small data. Okay, so that has some interesting applications. And ultimately, then we have quantum machine learning, which is taught by Jacques Jacquier, who is the author of the only book on quantum machine learning in finance. So he will teach that module over 4 lectures, and he will introduce quantum computing and ultimately quantum machine learning and explain the advantages that quantum machine learning offers. Okay, so that is, so I spoke quite a bit about this because, there are quite a lot of modules in this program that you basically study over time. And perhaps let me address the questions that are that have been posed on the chat. I think so. There's a question from Kumar that Jeff actually addressed in part. How MLI is different from CQF? Well, CQF is a very respectable program, and Jeff has been instrumental in setting up CQF as well. So Paul Wilmot, whom you certainly know, he is an expert in partial differential equations, and he is very much a classical quant, right, with background in these partial differential equations. So the core of CQF wasn't focused around machine learning; it was focused around classical option pricing theory. Yeah, and classical option pricing theory, it's still very elegant. It's a very nice thing to learn, but in practice, what has been happening, especially since the credit crunch started in 2008, 2007. So, well, it was a build up to the credit crunch, but I mean, ultimately. There aren't as many jobs now in, for example, exotic derivatives pricing nowadays, right? The emphasis has been shifting away from that towards more kind of data-driven approaches and ML. Yeah, so CQF is a great program if you want to be a classical quant, right? If you want to kind of learn option pricing theory and, and they have added ML to CQF, but it's more of an afterthought, right? It's not kind of a core component of the program, right? It's very much an option pricing program. Yeah, so we don't think that we are kind of directly competing with CQF because, yes, we do have a primer and option pricing. We have applications of ML to option pricing, but we really teach the new techniques of kind of statistics and extensions of statistics via deep learning and ML and AI. Right, that's what we teach. Right, there is a lot of emphasis on artificial intelligence and new stuff. Right, I mean, because we are an ML-driven program, we can spend a lot of time on quantum ML. We can spend a lot of time on generative approaches. We can spend a lot of time on natural language processing and so on, which is kind of really core to our program. Jeff, do you want to say something to add something to this, or?
Well, just to say that on the CQF, I think you get some machine learning on the final module, on module 6 of the CQF program. So it's kind of chalk and cheese, the difference between MLI and the CQF. They're both great programs, but they're very, very different. I think if we move on to Devanand's question.
Okay, Devanand's question. Okay, will this program provide us with enough insights into the world of quantitative research risk modeling? Yes, I believe so. That's how it was designed, right? It's supposed to make you kind of a state-of-the-art expert in this area. But of course, you have to stay up to date, right? This is kind of annoying because I have to stay up to date, right? And we help you in that regard. So, for example, once you're done with the program, you can attend various seminars, you can attend kind of various upgrades that we introduce. So you basically have to stay relevant and stay topical. But I believe that the techniques that we teach, they provide you a very solid core to enable you to do well in this field. Yeah. So that the intention is to provide you with enough insights, and that's how we develop this program, and that's we paid a lot of attention to making it topical. We do okay. So that's Devanand, and then we have if we get admitted to April program and we could not join the cohort, do we need to again appear for the admission procedure for next cohort? I guess that's a question for Jeff.
Yeah, that's there's no need to reapply basically. So if you've been admitted onto the program, but you can't join the cohort beginning in April, then you can join the following cohort, and there's no need to reapply.
And the question from Abhishek. So rather than there being a specific module with applications of ML and AI towards pricing and risk management, there is first of all a primer on pricing and risk management where you spend an entire day on these things, and then there are basically throughout the program you have applications to pricing and risk management. So for instance, you have talks by Blanca on deep learning volatility. You have differential machine learning by by Sabine and by Hugh. And there are many lectures throughout the program. I think there is a large number of these lectures that actually focus specifically around pricing and risk management.
Super. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. We've just got a couple of slides to go, and then if anybody has any more questions, we'll answer those. So I've spoken about alumni already. If you want to get in touch with MLI alumnus from either your organisation or your region, or who's working in a similar role to the one that you're working in, or working in a role that you want to work in, then get in touch with me, and I'll put you in touch with alumni. The study partner program. So this is, I think this is really important. The feedback that I've had from MLI alumni, from those who have, you know, if you've got 2 or 3 people working in the same organization who enroll onto the program and they're studying together, then they can tackle the challenges together, and it's enjoyable and it's engaging and it's fun. You know, and that social interaction, I guess, with colleagues is a big advantage. I think that not just with colleagues, but if you want to study with somebody from your region or with people from your region and you set up a group, then that we strongly encourage, and we can help to facilitate that as well. And again, if you want to study with somebody who's working in a similar role, so that you can tackle similar challenges, then we'll help to facilitate that as well. And for those of you who prefer working on your own, brilliant. You know, it's either or really, but I think either way, hopefully you'll have a really good experience. We do have a help desk, which is, well, it's as comprehensive as any help desk should be. It's there to help you, and so if you've got any questions as you're going through the program, as you're going through these 8 months, if you want to speak to faculty, then you're more than welcome. You get in touch with us. We put you in touch with the faculty member that you want to speak to, or if you have questions outside the content of the program, you get in touch with us, and we'll do everything we can to help you. The employment service I've talked about already, so I'm not going to repeat what I said. We take this extremely seriously because this is all about helping you to get a job once you've graduated from the program, which is entirely merited. So yeah, so it's there for you if you need it. Just to emphasize, for self-funded delegates only. Okay. So we've answered quite a few of your questions along the way. There's one: will this program at the very end? Will this program enable you to become serious researcher in AI and ML? Since I also want to pursue higher education in AI and ML. Paul?
Yes. So to become a serious researcher in AI and ML, you probably need to excel at this program. Like all aspects of this program, you really need to understand them very intimately. But you also need to understand, you know, the. Okay, so let me perhaps. Okay, so depending on what you want to do, right? So say you want to be a capable quant, work on a trading desk and deliver value to the trading desk and make good money. You probably don't need to have, you know, you need to have some professional skills, right? You need to be really, you know, have a really sound knowledge of, you know, everything that we teach. But you probably don't need to go like, you know, to become a rock star, basically, right? It's a good idea to become a rock star. That means you need to basically outcompete people who you work with. You need to know this stuff better. You need to be quicker at this stuff. You need to basically deliver, you know, code better and faster and so on. You need to be able to really do stuff very, very well. Yeah. So to grow professionally. Or you do a lot of politics and you just climb the political ladder. I mean, that's another option. But if you want to be a very, what you call a serious researcher, that means you really need to understand these techniques in a lot of detail and kind of develop critical thinking. So you can really creatively approach this work, right? So you can really, so you need to be basically one level above this stuff. So if you want to pursue higher education in the AI and ML, if you do achieve that during this program, we can have a conversation with you, maybe, when it becomes clear that you haven't achieved this, and I can maybe take you on as a PhD student, or perhaps one of my colleagues can take you on as a PhD student. If this is what you want to do, and if you want to pursue this, to pursue a research kind of path. If you already have a PhD, which may be the case, then we can have a conversation with you about maybe, joining a faculty in ML space. So just to give you some background, I'm not only am I a visiting professor in mathematical finance and quantitative finance, which is kind of finance specific, but I'm also a computer scientist in the Department of Computing, where I focus on pure AI and machine learning. Okay.
Where?
At Imperial College.
Got it. Okay. I think that there's another aspect to this question that we can help with as well, Abhishek, which is that look, if you're flying through this program and you do well at the end of module tests, and you in particular do well in the final exam, and most important of all, the final project, we can definitely provide a reference for you, so that if you are applying for researcher roles at universities, then hopefully this reference can help you out.
And let me add something. I mean, you need to have some publications, right? So your project that you produce should be publishable. Yeah, and you should publish it. Yeah, so really you need to convince people, say, look, I've actually published something in a peer-reviewed journal. So, that's a good step on that path.
Any other questions?
Okay, there is another follow-up question from Abhishek. So when you submit your project, it doesn't have to be yet at publishable standard. So what you can do, you can refine it. You can refine it and make it publishable. So the process, you normally produce a preprint first, and then you kind of clean up your preprint and send it to, so again, like if you are interested in pure AI ML, then you probably want to publish it in NIPS or something like that, which is very competitive. Yeah. If you want to, if you are leaning more towards financial ML, it could be quantitative finance, right? But I mean, you want to ultimately, your final year project can be a basis of a publication, but when we assess it, it doesn't need to be yet of that high caliber. Yeah, it needs to be, so this is, you can take it as a foundation and then shrink it a bit and make it publishable. Okay, so we are going to use KDB, Q for time series, or only Python will be used for time series data analysis. So there is no harm in using KDB for your project. Yeah, we run another qualification, which is Quantitative Developer Certificate, where we spend an entire module on KDB. Yeah, and that qualification is focused squarely on coding, right? And there we spend a lot of time on KDB plus Q. Yeah, but for this specific program, you don't need to use KDB, but you are most welcome to. We do not teach KDB on this program, but if you want to learn C++, Python, KDB in detail and how to build high-frequency trading systems, then you can join the Quantitative Developer Certificate, and that's another certification that we offer, which is all around coding.
So we're running, just on that note, we're running online information sessions on the 7th and 9th of December on the Quantitative Developer Certificate. So if you want to sign up for that, let me know and I'll reserve your place.
Okay, looks like there are no further questions.
No more questions, everyone? Listen, I hope you've found it useful. I hope you found it informative. And again, the fee, right, so what I'll do is, bear with me 1 second, let me put a link with the fees in And just to add that residents in India are entitled to a 50% discount. So this is the link for the fees. It's good to hear you enjoy the Philesians webinars as well, Abhishek. That's great. Okay, so just to verbalize that, I guess, it's the full course fee is £8,950, and there's discount structures in place where they're early bird discount structures. So I think if you enroll by mid-January, then there's a 30% discount, and then by the 20th of January is a 30% discount. Thereafter, before the 24th of February is a 25% discount. And if you book before the 31st of March, there's a 15% discount. Thereafter, you pay the full fee.
Jeff, there are a few more questions. So we have basically Ellie enrolled for the last cohort, then got the money back because couldn't do that program. How was the process for enrolling for the next cohort? Would it be just going through the process online, or is there something else that we can offer?
So, Ellie, this is something, so I wasn't aware of this because I've only been here a couple of months, but if you want, get in touch with me and we can talk about it, okay, if you want to enroll for the next cohort.
What's EMI? I don't know what EMI is. EMI option, I don't know what that is.
Me neither. What's EMI?
Manage this question in the meantime. Examples of finally a final project. I mean, is that something that Ivan can provide, because he looks after those? So I think we can, maybe if we get Manish in touch with Ivan, that would be good. Oh, equity monthly installments. I think we do something based on installments, Jeff. Is that right?
So I think that this is quite rare, Abhishek, I have to say, but if you want, let's have a discussion about it, okay? Because I think normally the minimum that you would need to submit is the fee for level 1, and then before the start of the program, which is half of the usual fee, and then you add the 50% discount for residents in India, so it hopefully makes it manageable for you. But yeah, let's talk. We can talk about this. So just send me an email and we'll have a chat.
Okay, I think this is it. I think there are no further questions.
Super. All right. Well, if you do have any other questions, or if you want to have a discussion, then feel free to get in touch with me whenever you want. And I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you have a fabulous weekend, and hope to see you soon.
Likewise. Take care, guys.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.